everybody. Once again, here from IRCHA, another road noise segment. We're over here at the FPV race course. With me, I have Bobby Watts, Bert Kammerer.
Hello.
These are the two forefront guys in the industry that are pushing the FPV racing side. Wanted to get some insight on what's going on. They held a really nice race here at IRCHA. Just finished up, but what was your guys' opinion? How did it come out?
It's interesting because there's a lot of talk about FPV. Oh, you know, those guys are taking the heli guys down, you know, taking away the helicopter hobby. I think it's a completely different discipline, and I think it doesn't really take away from helis. I think it adds to the hobby. So, and this was an interesting weekend. We had a lot of helicopter guys come out here, do the race, and then go back.
Right.
We had the number one finisher, you know, the winner of our A class, as we call it, was Duncan Boussillon from France.
Very good.
We had some guys from Horizon that have been heli guys in the past, you know, and still to some degree. We had Jason Bell from Hobbies, you know, that's a heli guy, also came and raced, and then he went back over there. So it was interesting. We had a lot of traffic back and forth.
What do you think the ratio of non-heli guys to heli guys is?
Here it seemed like most people who had FPV machines had a heli of some sort. So this was very much, because it was held during the Jamboree.
Okay.
So if it was a separate event, it probably would have been more dedicated FPV guys, but we're just trying to help people cross that bridge into the FPV world.
What was the response from all the guys? Were they happy with it? Is it something that they want to see do again? Or?
Yeah, I think they had a blast. We tried to set it up more like a fun fly. Okay. So we call it Smack Fest. We wanted Smack Fest to feel a lot more like a fun fly with your buddies. And we had a bunch of open flight stations. If you just want to get together with your buddies, put your quads down, talk a bunch of smack and go fly, you could do it. Then we had to organize races for about 2 hours every day. But overall, it was really good.
All the challenges that we have to deal with when it comes to FPV, you know, video issues and all these things, you know, FPV is still in its infancy, right? And this weekend was flawless, I guess you could say. I mean, we had very few issues. We had a couple of guys over there that were powering things on, and we took care of it quickly. So it was fun. I think everybody enjoyed themselves. Definitely.
Now, as two premier heli pilots coming over to race, do you find this more enjoyable, or do you still find your love with the helis?
It's different. It's totally different. So it'd be like you could take your pattern airplane out and have a blast, and then you could take a 3D airplane out and still have fun. But it's two totally different things. So we still totally enjoy helis, and we fly them pretty often, actually. And then if we do FPV, we just usually go to his place and just tear it up around his yard. So it's two completely different disciplines, as Bert said, but it's just different. The coolest thing we find is that if you have a real tight race and you round a corner and someone overtakes you, it's on. And that's one of the coolest feelings in the racing. With helis, you don't get that as so much, you know.
You get to do it with other people at the same time, you know. And you're flying a heli, you're front and center, you're the showman or whatever, and they look at your back and they look at the heli, and you're in the middle of, you know, you're the one doing the whole thing. Right. Here, you just get to do it at the same time with everybody else, right. And it's just such a cool thing to share that at the same time with other people. The issue with FPV is that it's not a spectator sport. You know, when you watch quads that, you know, especially here, we did a very large course, you know, this thing's like, what, 200 yards deep. Yeah. So these little quads disappear in the distance. Right. The beauty of it is that this year, for the first time, I think, at least here at the IRCHA Jamboree, we had AMA being kind enough to let us borrow their trailer setup, which has 5 different monitors. So we had live stream from the actual feet that the pilots were watching while they were flying. We had that being broadcasted to the trailer, so spectators could see the actual quads flying through the course, and they could turn around and look at what the pilots were seeing as they were flying through these gates and flags and so forth. Right. So it's pretty cool, you know.
Now, what do you think it would take to turn it into more of a mainstream spectator sport?
That's a good question. That's what we're trying to figure out, to be honest. We want to do another event. We definitely want to keep SmackFest going. As Bert said, we think the number one thing is spectators. We need to cater towards the spectators, but always keep the pilots in mind. So if you think of any big soccer stadium, football stadium, there's jumbotrons for a reason, right? Because not everyone can see the court, the court of the field. So that would certainly help. Maybe a little bit less downtime in between, so really make sure guys are ready with their frequencies.
But with that comes more staff to get everybody rounded up and everything.
Lots of volunteers. We need more help. I mean, we had some great help here, but we only had, I think at most we had like 25 racers going
at
the same
within a
time.
race period.
Yeah, but overall, I'd say we learned a lot, and I think it's going to happen. I think you're going to see this as I don't know about a stadium event, but I can certainly see FPV races being as big as Top Gun or being as big as the IRCHA Jamboree. I can see it happening.
It's so exciting. I mean, there were a couple of races throughout the week here, right? That I think yesterday or the day before, I think it was you and Miguel. There were a couple of races where, you know, these guys were passing each other, and then this guy would take, you know, first place, and the second place would overtake first place, and they were just fighting for first place. And there were 2 or 3 times when they passed each other and they were fighting through the turns. Right. That's awesome when you see it from the pilot perspective, because you can see, you know, the other quad over,
Exactly.
over passing you from the top or below or whatever. That's really exciting, even more so than looking at it line side.